Hi, I'm Brian Stevens, product manager at AM Leonard. Today we're going to be showing you some assembly tips, kind of a new method on assembling our WB6 wheelbarrow. This also applies for our 8 cubic foot, 10 cubic foot wheelbarrows and the steel tray. So, hope this helps. Got all our parts laid out. What you'll need is a 13 millimeter deep socket wrench, and then a 14 millimeter combination wrench. Those are all the tools you'll need. We're going to go ahead and clear some of these parts off the table for a later step. It always helps when you're working, have a nice table, work table, so you're not bending over constantly, but some of this will need to be done on the ground. So we need this. We'll go ahead and move some of this stuff on the ground to make some more room. Save that stuff for later. One of the first things we'll want to do is assemble the wheels, the leg unit. So take some of our, go ahead and take apart our hardware and just start putting this stuff together. And now we're not going to tighten everything. Really tighten everything down until the end. You'll see a couple reasons why we wait till the end to tighten things down, but we will want to snug things up as we go. So we're going to try and stay with you through most of this video so you're not having to pause and restart the video constantly. We found that this since we have this new under tray brace, that's given us a way to basically assemble the framework of the wheelbarrows and then put your tray on later. So rather than using the duct tape method, which, like I said, either way works fine, but there's multiple ways to get this done. Probably a couple other ways than just these two that I mentioned. But we found that this one's pretty quick and easy. So now I'm just snugging these leg brace bolts down so it's not so wobbly. You can see about how tight I go there. These are carriage bolts with the square shank on it, and we have a square hole in the leg brace. So set that aside. The next sub-assembly we'll do is the nose brace. Nose brace in the legs. For the nose brace bolts, you'll want to make sure to use the shorter bolt as compared to the axle bracket bolt. And after this, we'll show how to utilize that under tray brace to build this sub-assembly, or the framework to the wheelbarrow. Now you want to make sure to put these, the nose brace bolts on this way, the bolt going through inside to out, so that when you tighten these down, there's not a lot of thread protruding into your wheel assembly. And we're just going to use our combination wrench here and our socket wrench to kind of snug this up too. Now if you ended up purchasing a nose guard, one of our non-marring nose guard assemblies that goes on the front here, really helps. you know, when you're working on paved areas and dumping materials. That's easy enough to put on afterwards. You know, and you know, any of your wheelbarrows you already have together, it can fit right on any of your already built wheelbarrows by just taking these front two nose brace bolts out and then slide that nose guard right on and tighten things back up. So last one. Okay, that's good. Now, you want to make sure, because we have this tow hook on the wheelbarrow nose, you want to make sure to flip that down for this next step. You'll grab your under tray support, and this, I'll tell you, this really makes a ton of difference, this tray support on our poly tray wheelbarrows. The load capacity and just being able to move heavier loads really makes a big difference. Gives the poly trays more rigidity. So now we slid the under tray support under the handles, lined them up. Now this part's kind of counterintuitive, but it saves a ton of time. We're going to put the tray bolts in upside down at this point, and it helps working on a table because you can just slide this to the end. Or sorry, we're going to put them through this way. So the nut is on the top, and we'll show you here in a second how this saves a bunch of time. You don't want to thread these, you don't want to snug these, you just want to put it just barely enough thread so they're not going to fall off. We'll move to this edge. And like, I don't mean to make this method sound, you know, like it makes things so much faster or easier, because you are assembling a wheelbarrow. It is a little clunky, but once it's put together, these tend to last for a really long time, and it's worth it. So now we have this framework assembled. We're ready to put the tray on top. So we're just going to move to the ground. Grab our tray. And we're going to start, I like to start with this. It's going to be a tricky thing to show, but I like to start with one of these back corners and try and line up your holes. It's easier to grab, it's easy to grab one layer at a time and feed it through. And right there, you have your bolt, first tray bolt in, and leave this pretty loose because you do need to move things around. I'm going to take this next one, remove it. We're doing one at a time because you need the other three, really relying on the other three to keep things together. I like to get it all the way through the handle and then simply fit that, the leg bolt on. No, we're gonna leave, I get ahead of myself, start tightening stuff down. Okay, so that's one side. Usually I work my way around and it works out well to do this, the other close top side tray bolt last. Oop. So the last one, it's kind of to use your finger to hold the nut. And right there. So about 6 or 7 minutes in, got the tray on. It's okay to go ahead and snug those up now. And we can get back off the floor. Move to the table for the rest of the assembly, so we're not bending over. What I found is easiest to do next is go ahead and put the tray supports on. Just get those hanging there, because here in just a short while we're gonna slide the wheel assembly in with the wheel brackets and the axle. And you'll want the 45 bend, the more 45 bend on the top. So there's that. Now, we're going to be putting the axle brackets on. Using our longer bolts. The front tray brace goes through the front hole of the wheel bracket. We're just going to thread these on. Thread the second one on. And grab our axle and our wheel. Before you put the other side on, we'll want to get this inside. Slide the axle in. Let that rest while we get the other side bolted on, and we're almost done. Like I said, there's several reasons why we wait till the end to really tighten things down, and we get a lot of times we get asked, people who want to torque their wheelbarrow bolts to a certain tightness. We don't really have a spec that you tighten things to. Two main reasons are the tray and the wood handles. You know, if you're using a torque wrench to try and get to a certain tightness on those, you're really gonna not get a good read, and it's gonna pull. These bolts they're just setting on top of the wood, so it could even pull the bolt head, you know, so far into the wood that it, you know, or the tray at the same point. You know, these metal on metal, you could torque those to, you know, 25 foot-pounds or whatever you feel is right, but we encourage you to use a good measure of elbow tight. Everything's tightened down and snug to, you'll feel where it's right. So everything's assembled pretty quick, less strenuous than working over top of the tray. So all you have left to do, tighten things down, you're good to go. Hope this helps.